Hey, my name is Sharam Namdarian. Sharam Namdarian. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how to destroy negative thoughts through emotional healing. We're also going to be talking about the anatomy of negative thoughts and just some general insiders in how to sort of get past negative thoughts. Now, negative thoughts are things that exist. Let's not deny it. You know, sometimes we have negative thoughts and there are people who are so fucking positive. They are so, I guess the word is toxic positivity, which, you know, sometimes there's a place for it, that they almost deny negative thoughts. There are people who are in the manifesting sphere. They're like, you've just got to think positive thoughts and you'll just create what you want to create. And there is some truth to that. But the truth here that I'm trying to share here is that there is also a place for negative thoughts. We do not want to reject negative thoughts because, truth be told, negative thoughts are to be looked at and to be felt and to be loved and to be surrendered to just as much as positive thoughts, that we can evolve and grow from those experiences just as much as we can grow and evolve from those positive thought experiences. Now, as always, when we talk about emotional healing, there is a general rule that I love and I want you to know and I want you to just fucking get it in your soul. And that is that when you surrender to something, when you process these emotions that you have deep beneath you, we're going to be talking about why we're processing it as always. Generally, bad turns to good, good turns to great. So surrendering to, say, for example, positive thoughts helps you evolve those thoughts and feelings to more greater things. But just like with negative thoughts and feelings, we process those feelings through surrender, through letting ourselves surrender to those feelings. We actually let ourselves move from those negative thoughts to the greater thoughts. Now, what happens is when we reject negative thoughts, we're actually rejecting a part of who we are. And some people might need that, you know, that part of who they themselves are might be too heavy for them. I often think there's a place for everything and everything in a place. But what ends up happening is through this overt positivity and through attempting to modify those thoughts, we ultimately are modifying a piece of who we are. And we're adding another layer on top of our consciousness and who we are in the world. So through emotional surrender, through emotional healing, we can let that part of ourselves evolve and let out that part of ourselves breathe. Now, negative thoughts come in a huge variety of fashions. Sometimes we adopt negative thoughts because someone told us something negative and we were just too, I guess, young, weak, naive. We didn't know how to process it enough. And so we onboarded that. For example, in my own life, I'll often have experiences where I will look bad about my appearance. I'll think negative thoughts about my appearance. And I, through my own surrender, through my own healing, realize I actually got that from my father. Because my father, I often will talk about my dad. God, me dealing with my dad is the best therapy of my life. But my dad actually came from, was it pre-revolution Iran, where he would describe during that time, it's like if you were to wear certain clothes, pretty much the police could take you and prosecute you and do whatever they wanted. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what he recounted to me. That's his trauma then translated over to me. Therefore, I then look at myself with that same thing. But at least in where I am now, at least in lockdown Melbourne, Australia, I'm rather safe. The negative thoughts we end up adopting from other people, sometimes we just adopt it from ourselves. We look in the mirror, we don't know how to deal with who we are. We try and go for a job or we didn't get it. Maybe we tried to connect with someone and they wouldn't connect with us. So we end up developing these thoughts, which, this is what we're talking about, the anatomy of negative thoughts. These thoughts are actually based on feelings. For example, a baby. Baby doesn't know how to speak yet, knows how to feel. It feels and interacts with, and children often are very responsive to parents. So what ends up happening, right, is as we grow up, we end up carrying these splinters in us. And often the splinters are that we shouldn't be feeling these things, that feeling these things is wrong. Now, I'm here to say that feeling these things is fantastic. The only issue is that when you start to feel these things, you end up having to deal with a lifetime of suppressed things. Is that the lifetime of suppressed issues that you stopped yourself from feeling end up coming up. So that's why I say just take it easy, take it slow. You don't have to rush the whole healing process. But we always talk about this, right? So we're talking about how thoughts are created by feelings, and thoughts then create actions. If our feelings then are healed or elevated or looked at and finally fucking loved and surrendered to, therefore our thoughts change and our actions change. And it's like profoundly simple. Like I'll be helping someone heal. I'll be doing a healing session with someone, and just to see the way that they look at the world shift so fucking much, just in like 5 minutes. And I will ask them, do you feel the same way that you did before? Like I'll write notes and I'll read it back to them, and I'll say, hey, earlier on you said this. And then I'll say, do you still feel that way? And they go, no. You said this about yourself. And they're like, nah, I don't feel that way anymore. And it's so simple that most people miss it. It'll feel like you've lived this way for your whole life, that this negative thought has just been not there. So we say destroy negative thoughts as like a fun catch-all, title for the video. But truth be told, what's actually happening is we're actually elevating those thoughts. We're looking at those thoughts. We're feeling those thoughts. And we're letting them complete their cycle, where we then can learn from those thoughts. We might realize, hey, wait a second. That's not for me. That's actually someone else's thoughts. I've talked about that in the past. You might realize, hey, wait a second. I just wasn't ready to deal with that. The thing I love about this whole process is that once you process a negative thought, you're fucking done. At least for that aspect, that emotional aspect of that thought, you're fucking done. What that means is that the next time you feel that, your body, your nervous system, your fucking soul knows what to do with that thought. And so it's never going to be as such of an impact ever fucking again. So, like an example might be that maybe someone somewhere along the way told you that you were bad at something. Let's just say I don't know. Well, let's not give it a concrete thing. Let's say someone somewhere along the way said to you that you were bad at something. Now, you're walking through your life, you're walking around, and you've done your best to avoid that thing because you didn't want to feel like you were bad at something. Finally, then you listen to some crazy motherfucker on the internet or in person or however you've met me, and you hear me saying, surrender. Surrender to that shit. Heal that shit. So finally, you decide you're going to surrender to that feeling that you are bad at that something. And you heal it. A lifetime of stuff comes up. It might go really quickly. It might take a couple of weeks. Who knows? Eventually, then what happens is finally the cycle will complete itself, because all of these things have a cycle. The cycle completes itself, and you finally realize deep down that you were never bad at that something, that someone else thought you were bad, and you onboarded it, and you basically lived your life thinking and feeling that was true. Now, the next time then someone says to you that you're bad at that something, you then look back at them and go, wait a second, that's not me, that's you. More importantly, and I think this is the best fucking thing about the whole thing, is that when you then think that you're bad at that something, you'll then look back at yourself and go, wait a second, that's not true. Maybe I'm just not practiced yet. Maybe I need to learn a few things. Maybe saying myself that I'm bad at something doesn't actually help me. So you start to gain perspective. You gain perspective on the thing you are looking at because you're looking at it. For the first fucking time in your life, you're actually looking at the very thing that you didn't want to look at. So thank you so much for watching this video. This video was about how to destroy negative thoughts, but really what it was about how to elevate and heal those negative thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Sharam Namdarian here. As I'm editing this video, I wanted to add a little bit more that I feel like I missed in this video, so I'm just recording this on my phone. Basically, the idea that when you heal your negative thoughts, your perspective also changes. So if you, for example, had negative thoughts on yourself or a situation that you're in, you become more emotionally available to see the situation for what it actually is, not just what you think it is if that's a negative thought. So for example, you might have a thought that people don't love you or people don't like you. And we've talked a lot about that on this channel. You might have a thought that, oh, you're unworthy of something. Eventually what happens as you surrender to these feelings, the unworthiness essentially disappears and all that's left is a worthiness, but more importantly, space for your fucking soul to express itself, which is that you might then be much more clearer of mind, clearer of body, clearer of everything, because your perspective has shifted. You can actually see things from this whole new perspective, which is that maybe people just like you for who you are and you didn't have to try very hard. So thank you so much. Talk to you soon.